Emily, a 32-year-old woman, was sitting in the kitchen of her apartment in Chicago, discussing her life with her sister, Sarah. Outside, the spring rain softly tapped against the windows, creating a cozy atmosphere. Emily felt relaxed, and her conversation with her sister turned into a revelation. "You know, Sarah, I would never date Jake right now," she said, laughing, but there was a hint of seriousness in her voice. "He's become so boring and predictable." Sarah raised her eyebrows and looked at her sister. "Are you serious? You've been together for several years." Emily hadn't thought about the consequences of her words. She continued, "Yeah, I get that we've been through a lot, but sometimes it feels like we're just living like roommates." At that moment, Jake, her husband, walked into the kitchen. He paused, hearing Emily's last words. His expression changed, and without saying a word, he left the apartment. Emily felt her heart race. She hadn't expected his reaction to be so harsh. "What happened?" Sarah asked, looking at her sister with concern. "I don't know," Emily replied, feeling a growing sense of guilt inside her. "I was just talking. I didn't." Jake left without saying a word, which was completely out of character for him. He was usually open and talkative. Emily tried to brush it off with humor, but she realized the situation was serious. She picked up her phone and texted him, "Jake, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." But there was no response. Emily began to worry. Maybe he just went for a walk? Sarah suggested, but Emily wasn't sure. "He never leaves me in the dark," she said, feeling anxiety rising in her chest. As time passed, Emily became increasingly nervous. She couldn't sleep, waiting for Jake to return. Every minute felt like an eternity. Night fell over Chicago, and Emily continued to wait. She tossed and turned, but sleep wouldn't come. Inside, her worry grew. Why isn't he answering? She thought, checking her phone again and again. Emily began to doubt her actions. Maybe she had indeed gone too far with what she said. Perhaps her words were too harsh. "I was just being honest," she whispered to herself, but her inner voice insisted she could have chosen softer words. Morning came, but Jake still hadn't returned. Emily reflected on her words and felt guilty. She didn't understand why she should apologize for her honesty. Maybe he's just upset, she thought. But isn't it okay to openly talk about your feelings? Emily tried to justify her behavior, but her internal doubts continued to gnaw at her. She realized their relationship had become less vibrant but couldn't figure out how to fix it. With each passing hour, Emily grew more anxious. Jake wasn't answering her calls or texts. She started to worry that something might have happened to him. Maybe he really needs time to think. She pondered, but the anxiety wouldn't leave her. Determined to find him, Emily knew he often spent time at a nearby cafe, but this time she couldn't locate him there. Emily kept searching for Jake, but to no avail. She decided to reach out to his friends, but no one knew where he was. Maybe he just wanted some time alone, one of Jake's friends suggested when Emily called her. Sometimes he needs to think things through. Emily felt a growing sense of worry inside her. She couldn't sit idly by, and gathering her thoughts, she decided to go to his parents' house. They lived nearby, and perhaps they would know where he was. When Emily entered Jake's parents' house, his mom greeted her with a worried expression. "Emily, what's wrong? Why do you look so upset?" she asked, hugging the girl. "I can't find Jake," Emily admitted, her voice trembling with anxiety. "We had a fight, and he left. I don't know where he is." Jake's mom frowned, her eyes filling with concern. "He often leaves when something's bothering him, but he always comes back." "Don't worry," she tried to reassure Emily. But Emily couldn't calm down. She felt their relationship was on the brink, and it worried her deeply. After visiting his parents, Emily returned home, full of doubts and anxiety. She texted Jake again, "I'm really worried. Please let me know you're okay." Still no response. Emily decided to distract herself and do something productive. She started tidying up the apartment, organizing things, but thoughts of Jake wouldn't leave her mind. Every time she heard a notification sound, her heart would skip a beat, but it was just an ad or a notification from an app. The next day, when Emily had almost lost hope, she heard a knock at the door. Her heart raced, and she rushed to open it. There stood Jake, looking tired but with relief in his eyes. "Hey," he said quietly. "I'm sorry for not responding. I needed some time." Emily felt tears welling up in her eyes. She threw her arms around him. "I was so worried," she exclaimed, unable to hold back her emotions. "I thought you wouldn't come back." Jake gently pulled away, looking into her eyes. "I didn't know how to explain everything. I needed time to think about our relationship." They sat down on the couch, and Emily felt the tension slowly fade away. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she started. "I just felt like we were drifting apart." Jake nodded. "I understand. But sometimes I need a little space to sort out my thoughts." Emily sighed. "I didn't want it to lead to a conflict. But I can't ignore my feelings." Jake looked at her with understanding. "I feel like something has changed too, but I didn't know how to talk about it." The conversation continued, and they both opened up to each other. Emily realized their relationship needed renewal, new emotions, and experiences. "Maybe we should try something new together?" she suggested. "A trip, a hobby, or something that can bring us closer." Jake smiled, and his eyes lit up. "Yes, that's a great idea. We could go to New York, which you've always dreamed of, or to San Francisco, like I've always wanted." Emily felt hope stirring inside her again. They began planning their first trip together, and it became a symbol of a new stage in their relationship. Emily and Jake understood that despite the challenges, they could overcome anything if they remained open and honest with each other. "I believe this trip will be the start of something wonderful for us," Emily said, smiling. Jake nodded, his face glowing with joy. "Yes, and I promise to communicate more about my feelings. We need to be a team, not opponents," he added. Each day, they immersed themselves in preparing for the trip. Emily researched attractions, while Jake handled transportation and accommodation. Their conversations were filled with laughter and joy, and with each new plan, they felt their bond strengthen. "Do you think we should bring something special?" Emily asked, rummaging through her closet. "Maybe a camera. I want to capture all these moments," Jake suggested. Emily nodded, realizing this trip wouldn't just be a getaway but an opportunity to create new memories. Finally, the day of departure arrived. They stood at the train station, full of excitement and anticipation. Emily took Jake's hand, and they exchanged glances filled with hope and love. "We can handle any challenges together," she said, and Jake smiled back. In New York, they experienced countless amazing moments. Strolls through Central Park, romantic dinners, and breathtaking views from skyscrapers. Each day brought new adventures, and they cherished every second together. Upon returning home, Emily and Jake were filled with energy and inspiration. They decided to keep working on their relationship, openly discussing everything that concerned them. "I feel like we've grown closer," Emily said, hugging Jake. "Me too," he replied, looking into her eyes. "I want us to always be like this." From that point on, they became not just partners but best friends, ready to support each other in any situation. Their love grew stronger, and their relationship became more harmonious. Emily knew they could overcome any obstacles as long as they worked on themselves and their connection. With each passing day, they created their story, filled with love, understanding, and adventure. And this was just the beginning of their journey together.